Hello everyone, this is Coordination Reviews again with another video, and I'm going to do something different this time. I'm not going to be really doing reviews really that much anymore, because there's so much YouTubers out there that do reviews. Even if the channel's not mostly reviews, they do reviews. And so I'm going to take a break from that unless I come up with new ideas for that type of thing to talk about. But now I'm going to be mostly doing lists, and I'm going to do rants, which would be technically like reviews. My list, I'll be reviewing my options and why I picked them on that particular number. With this one, I'm going to rant about random stuff. But first, I'm going to rant about Scooby-Doo. In particular, the theatrical releases of Scooby-Doo. And I am going to talk about the direct-to-video Scooby-Doo and why I think they failed. I am the biggest fan of Scooby-Doo. I have every Scooby-Doo movie, every Scooby-Doo TV show, and I have a lot of Scooby-Doo stuffed animals, figurines, action figures. I have a lot. I'm one of the biggest fans of Scooby-Doo, and so this is a fan talking of why I think they failed and how they could possibly bring out a great Scooby-Doo movie into theaters. And I'm going to start doing these rants like this, talk about these type of things that most people don't talk about. So to start out this, I'm going to talk about the theatrical releases of Scooby-Doo first, and why I think they failed the way they did. So let's start talking about the newest one that was supposed to be released in theaters but didn't because of COVID, which is Scoob. And to start out this one, Scoob, in my opinion, is the worst Scooby-Doo movie that ever hit the shelves. It's the worst Scooby-Doo movie ever made, and I really think the people that made it weren't fans of Scooby-Doo. They might say they are, but in reality, this wasn't a Scooby-Doo movie. It felt like more of Blue Falcon with a Scooby-Doo backstory. That's what it felt like, and it failed because it wasn't like Scooby-Doo. It was trying to be a Hanna-Barbera universe, and so it didn't feel like a Scooby-Doo movie. And let's start with the voice acting with this one. The voice acting in this Scooby-Doo movie is the worst out of every Scooby-Doo movie I've seen. And I'm a huge fan of Scooby-Doo, and this is the worst. Because they try to have A-list actors play these parts, like Zac Efron as Fred. Why would you do that? Little kids, 4-year-olds, don't care about A-list actors. They just want to see a talking dog solve mysteries with the game. That's practically what they come for. And old fans won't be happy about it. Old fans don't care about A-list actors either. They just care about the right Scooby-Doo movie, the right one. And having A-list actors play these parts that don't match them, it just proves that you're not doing this for the fans, and you're not doing this for the kids either. You're just doing this for people to show up. Nobody showed up. Well, even though this wasn't theatrically released, nobody even showed up to watch it on a streaming service, because they tried to do so much to get people in, but they failed miserably doing that. And so this one was the worst of the Scooby-Doo movies, and Shaggy just sounded like a normal dude. He didn't sound like Shaggy at all. It frustrates me because Matthew Lillard didn't even know they're making a movie like this, and he wasn't called about. And he's the main Shaggy. And speaking of Matthew Lillard, he's the best cartoon adaptation for any cartoon. And let's start talking about Scooby-Doo 1 and 2. Now, Scooby-Doo 1, I think Scooby-Doo 1 was worse than Scooby-Doo 2. Mostly because they try to have these monsters in it, and they don't explain. They don't explain really anything. Scooby-Doo 2 did more of the explaining, even though it didn't make sense still, but at least they explained it. This one, no. They're like, hey, they could take souls. You just got to agree with it. Like, we're not going to give you a backstory. We're not going to give you anything. The reason how they could separate souls from people. They're not going to explain it. And that's why this movie really fell short for me. But it's also because I get the people that made this movie didn't like Scrappy-Doo. Nobody likes Scrappy-Doo. I don't. And they introduced him out of nowhere, the most annoyingest character in the series. So I think this one had more of the stupid decisions than the second one. And so this one, I'll watch it just to watch Scooby-Doo 2. But I usually like Scooby-Doo 2 more than Scooby-Doo 1. And now let's get to the one that was good, which was Scooby-Doo 2. Scooby-Doo 2 had some good things about it. This one did a lot to represent the old versions of Scooby-Doo. They have the OG monsters showing up in this one. Even though they might not look that great, but at least they tried to make a formula that could have did amazing. This movie could have did amazing if it weren't for the writing and the directing. There's a lot of like scenes that just doesn't make sense of how that happened. That like it just feels like they just cut a scene out just to get to this one, and it's obvious. And so this one didn't really do that well either, but I think it did better than the other two. And I watched this in theaters where kids love this type of movie. I loved it when I was a kid. And then when I got older, I'm like, I see the flaws. So Scooby-Doo didn't really have a great release when it comes to theatrical releases. This is the reason why Scooby-Doo failed. The directors and writers, I believe, are not big fans of Scooby-Doo. And I really think they didn't really care. They were doing this for the money. And a lot of you are going to be like, that's not true. But if it isn't, then why did they fail so bad? They weren't real Scooby-Doo movies. They were filled with not really a mystery to solve. Because there was no actual traps. They were just thinking outside the box with these type of situations. And it just felt like this wasn't really how you could do Scooby-Doo right. The way to do Scooby-Doo right is to get the people that made the 4 best Scooby-Doo movies in a row. Which is Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, Scooby-Doo Witch's Ghost, Scooby-Doo Alien Invaders, and Scooby-Doo Cyber Chase. Are labeled as one of the 4 best movies in a row. There's more good Scooby-Doo movies like Pirates of Horror and Where's My Mummy, Loch Ness Monster. Those are all good. But I really think the people that made those 4 cared about Scooby-Doo. Care about the characters. And the voice acting is better. Even though Matthew Lillard wasn't part of it at that time, it was Cassie Kasem, which he's the best Shaggy besides Matthew Lillard. They're both great. And I really think if they make a new Scooby-Doo movie in theaters, they should make a Zombie Island remake. Make it longer, make it more polished, like probably add some elements to it, but make it real to the source material. And I think that will get people to watch it in theaters. Now, if people don't watch it in theaters, then I'm sad to say that Scooby-Doo's dead. They messed up 3 times. Nobody's gonna watch Scooby-Doo anymore if they get a theatrical release version. But I think if they make Zombie Island, people will go see it. I don't think people are gonna go see it if they make a new story. Because they messed up 3 times, why would they do that? Everybody knows Zombie Island. So if they make a movie on that, going into theaters, then people will go see it. If people don't, then it's a dead series. And I really think people will go see it. At least it's worth the try. You don't have to pay millions of dollars on this film, but nobody's going to see an original story of Scooby-Doo going into theaters anymore. Because they failed 3 times, why would they take the chance? So, why do an original story when they could do a Zombie Island remake. And not return to Zombie Island, it's not a sequel, because that was as bad as Scooby. That was a terrible Scooby-Doo movie too. And I think Scooby-Doo movies nowadays, even directed videos, have been crappy. I watched all of them, and the last good one was before COVID, which was the 13th Ghost. And that still wasn't like a perfecto of a movie, but it's still better than the movies that come out now. And I really think it's because directors and writers don't care about Scooby-Doo anymore. It's just they keep on doing the same things. They don't like come up with better story. And that's what makes it frustrating too. So I really think in those OG people that made Zombie Island, you got a winning formula. Because they love Scooby-Doo. They obviously do. Because Zombie Island is labeled as the best Scooby-Doo movie, minus Cyber Chase. But Zombie Island was still one of my top 3 favorite Scooby-Doo movies. And that will give a winning formula. So, if you guys agree with me, the theatrically released Scooby-Doo movies, tell me down below in the comments why you think they failed. And do you think that it would be a great idea to make a Zombie Island remake? And just to show that Scooby-Doo could still matter with society than what they did with the Scooby-Doo movies that came out in theaters. This is going to be one of my first rants, so I'm going to do more rants about like Marvel and other things. And let me see if there's anything I could work on. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about this topic. Do you think they should do a Zombie Island remake? And if not, then do you think Scooby-Doo is already dead when it comes to theatrically released Scooby-Doo movies? Let me know down in the comments. And like always, it's Claudio Nation Reviews. And I'll see you all next time with another video. Peace.